Okay, so I just want to clarify that this is the morning round of isolated severe storms, not the main afternoon round. That's going to be much more widespread and much more intense. But this was severe warned earlier, but now it has clearly weakened below severe limits as it entered Forest County, but did do wind damage in Marathon County earlier, including a report of a tree that fell on the back of a house. So yeah, and then some AWS their stations did pick up a gust to 60 miles per hour at one point in Wausau too. So now this storm's lifetime is pretty much over. I'm gonna shift on over to a strong cell that is to the south of Lac du Flambeau, now entering the Vilas County line. This will be approaching the communities of Marlins and will go in between Boulder Junction and Star Lake. This does currently have gusts to approximately 45 miles per hour and hail to almost quarter size. Special weather statement states, believe it's nickel size hail, but that hail core would suggest some of those stones reaching quarter size. So, yes, Raymaves, the main event doesn't start until later. So, now I'm gonna quick go down to um Iowa and then show you those storms, and then now me and myself for the time until the warning goes into effect. And then we do have a pretty strong cell down here to the north of Des Moines. As you can see, not too much wind, but there is some pea-sized hail here and there. But as the day goes on, especially to around 10 or 11 a.m., as they cross northern Wisconsin, we can expect to see a couple of those start turning severe as the, there is a more stark contrast between the warm boundary and the cold boundary. That's when we'll start seeing severe weather begin to increase again, and then those storms will move out, and then brief lull for about a couple hours, and then the main rounds start up. So I will end the stream once the morning round is over to go live again in a couple of hours. So again, just a brief recap, we do have some strong cells in northeastern Wisconsin, but the one severe cell is pretty much, well, now it's seeing a bit of some re-strengthening right here. Let's actually check that out. Yes, indeed. In the Monaco and Argonne area, especially right over, and I'm gonna look, especially right over almost Ankins into Crandon, we do have some gusty winds to 50, 55 miles per hour. So if you're in Newwald into the Long Lake, Fern, Tipler, and Tyran areas, possibly Florence and Wisconsin, if you're outside this early in the morning, by the way, the skies are golden pink over here. And so yeah, got a lot of cirrus over here, likely from the Thunderhead associated with the cell. But if you're in Newwald, Long Lake, Tipler, or Tyran, and possibly Florence and Fern, then you need to be inside and just brace for some gusty winds and smaller hail to about pea to half-inch size. But since nothing much is going on, I might as well quick show you guys what is expected for later this afternoon. So I'm gonna hop on over and show you guys the day one convective first. So the ocean new outlook by 7:50ish. So in another couple hours we'll see a new update. So here we have a enhanced risk extending from upper Michigan all the way down to northeastern Iowa. Now, the one change they did make, and I completely agree with this, is to take basically a bite out of the enhanced here, because the storms will still be severe, but they'll be a lot weaker by the time they reach up lower Michigan. But another thing is they have not had significant wind probabilities, especially for east central Wisconsin and southern Wisconsin, far southeastern Minnesota into northeastern Iowa. Now, this is the area you will most likely see hurricane force winds gusts to 80 and possibly 90 miles per hour. The strongest downbursts, but especially again up into here, I wouldn't be too surprised if an occasional gust or two did reach at that strength. And then there is still that continued 10% significant tornado risk. So a regional outbreak of tornadoes is expected, with at least a couple of those becoming strong. I mean, the atmosphere is primed for intense tornadoes in spots. And same thing with the hail. Basically, any supercell that forms will be capable of producing large, very large hail, some possibly to the size of baseballs, and quite frankly, possibly larger than that too. So what time would a tornado watch get issued? If they were to issue a watch, they would most likely issue the watch right in the so typically they issue watches up to a couple hours away from the event or as the convection is starting up. I'm thinking today of a lot more certainties, thinking they would issue that before. So the storms are expected to fire up around 2, so they'll probably fire that up right around 12 p.m. So yeah, that would be my guess. As you can see, several tornadoes, large, very large hail damaging winds all appear likely. Some of the tornadoes could be strong. So, like I mentioned. And then, I don't know how the quality is. It's pretty decent. We'll just have to see how the internet cooperates with us. But as a matter of fact, so another thing is there's another factor that could actually get a moderate risk issued, and is what the models have been bringing up the last several runs, but what's known as a mesolow forming somewhere generally in this area. Now, if you're wondering what a mesolow is, those generally tend to be developed during MCSs or boeckles, where they're so powerful that they essentially create their own storm, their own low pressure. So if that does happen, especially towards the beginning where starts congealing MCS, which by the way, typically with the MCS, it converts almost completely to wind damage dry. You would just see brief spin after that be about it. This case though, the MCS will have embedded supercells in it, so strong tornadoes are still likely even when it's in its MFCS strength, and you can also see some very large hail still, and then obviously the potential of significant damaging straight line winds. So if a mesolow does form, then there could be a higher tornado potential, especially around and just south of where it does develop. So we could quite potentially be looking at a moderate, I would say, down here for the wind potential. But if there is an increased tornado potential, then if they oh, if they solely rely on that, then I would estimate that they would issue the moderate right in this, okay, right in this area somewhere. So now I'm gonna quick show you the miles, and then I will just go back to the radar. So brief update from the HER. Okay, so here's what now this time doesn't bring a continued severe potential to Wisconsin, but then 1 p.m., 2 p.m. This case now has them developing as soon as 1 p.m. Central Daylight. So 2 p.m., 3 p.m. 3 p.m. they start entering the Wausau, Merrill areas. You can see very large hail cores. And then 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Around 5, 6 is when they fin the green is where we start seeing the organization to squall. That's where it's gonna be at its most dangerous. And then 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and then by the time you get to 9 p.m., it weakens as it moves across Lake Michigan into lower Michigan. So as you can see, tons of Cape of Vale to 3,500 spots, or at least according to the HER. Then high supercell composite values because of this volatile atmosphere. As a result, the STP is also at pretty decent values. I mean, it's toned down a bit from a couple days ago, but still to the point where we would see for sure at least one strong tornado, likely two or more. Then obviously, especially once they could get out to squall, there will be tons and tons of light. So also do prepare for that once the squall line comes. And lastly, let's see. Wind gust, so already it would indicate 68 knots there. So that's about 78 miles per hour there. And then more patches of strong wind gusts. Now, this isn't exactly what would happen, but it's generally what could happen. 72 knots there, so 80, almost 85 there. So, in other words, it's suggesting that widespread 6-hour wind gusts occur in the MCS, but in the stronger embedded supercells, not out of the question of those gusts definitely reached 85. So, now I'm going to mute myself for now, and I'm going to switch right on over to the radar until something significant happens. Okay, want to briefly point out that there are some damaging winds 60 to 65 miles per hour now north of Alvin, Wisconsin, moving towards the Stambaugh area in upper Michigan and surrounding communities. So if you're within that area, you need to take shelter now. And the hail risk has pretty much diminished, other than the exception of a couple pea-sized hailstones here and there. But otherwise, this is going to be a 60-mile-per-hour wind event for the time being. But I anticipate more weakening than weakening strengthening for the next hour or so from the south.